The quiet of space was broken only by the soft beeping of instruments aboard the patrol ship Sentinel. Captain James Walker stood at the viewport, hands clasped behind his back, gazing out at the stars that dotted the darkness beyond Pluto's orbit. 6 months into their patrol mission, and the most exciting thing to happen was a minor solar flare 3 weeks ago. "Captain," called Thomas, the communications officer. His voice held an unusual edge. "You need to see this." Walker crossed the bridge in 4 long strides. The crew had grown used to his quick, efficient movements, a result of growing up in Earth's 1G environment, making him naturally faster than those raised in the lunar or Martian colonies. "What is it?" Walker asked, leaning over the console. Thomas pointed at his screen. "This signal just came through. It's not on any known frequency, and the pattern doesn't match anything in our databases." Walker studied the scrolling data. Strange. Symbols flashed across the screen unlike any human language. "Have you run it through the translation matrix?" "Yes, sir. It's still processing, but preliminary results suggest it's a language, and sir..." Thomas hesitated. "The origin point is well beyond our solar system." A hush fell over the bridge. Every crew member knew what this meant. "First contact." "Put it on the main screen," Walker ordered. The large display at the front of the bridge lit up with the strange symbols. They pulsed with an urgent rhythm. "Sir," said Emma, the science officer, "the translation matrix is giving us something. It's crude, but..." The symbols on the screen began to transform into English words. "Help. Danger. Extinction. Need Deathworlders. Help." Walker's breath caught in his throat. Deathworlders. "It must mean us," Emma said quietly. "Earth is classified as a death world by any standard definition. High gravity, extreme weather patterns, dangerous wildlife, radiation, disease. They're asking for our help," Walker said, "and they know what we are." The message continued to stream across the screen, more details emerging as the translation matrix refined its work. The message spoke of a species called the Lumari, peaceful explorers who had encountered a hostile force known as the Void Collective. The collective had already destroyed 3 Lumari worlds. The survivors were in hiding, sending desperate pleas across the galaxy. "Why us?" asked Robert, the tactical officer. "We've barely left our own solar system." Emma studied the data. "According to this, the Lumari have been observing us for decades. They know our history, our capacity for warfare. They call us evolved predators and survivors of the Crucible." Walker frowned. "They're asking for warriors." "Yes, sir. The message specifically mentions our adaptability, endurance, and..." Emma paused. "Our capacity for violence when threatened." Walker straightened up. "Send a response. Tell them we received their message and are consulting with Earth Command." "Yes, sir," Thomas replied, fingers flying over his console, "and set course for Earth. Maximum speed." The meeting room at Earth Defense Force headquarters buzzed with tension. Representatives from every major nation sat around the large oval table, their faces grim as they reviewed the alien message. General Laura Chen, head of the EDF, stood at the front of the room. "Captain Walker's ship received this distress call 3 days ago. Since then, we've received 4 more transmissions from the Lumari, each more desperate than the last." Walker sat quietly as the room erupted in debate. Politicians, military, leaders, and scientists all spoke at once, their voices rising. "We can't risk humanity in an alien war. How do we know this isn't a trap? Our responsibility is to Earth, not some unknown species." General Chen raised her hand for silence. "Captain Walker, you were first to receive the message. What's your assessment?" Walker stood. He wasn't a politician or a diplomat. He was a soldier, and he spoke like one. "The Lumari are dying. They reached out to us specifically because they believe we can help. They called us Deathworlders because that's what we are. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us at every turn, and we survived. We thrived." He looked around the room. "The Void Collective has never encountered a species like us before. The Lumari believe that gives us an advantage." "And what do you believe, Captain?" asked the representative from Africa. Walker didn't hesitate. I believe that when someone asks for help, you help them. That's what makes us human. Silence fell over the room. If we choose to help, said the Chinese representative, what would that look like? General Chen touched a screen, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the table. Our best option would be a rapid response fleet, every nation contributing ships, personnel, and resources. A fleet? The European representative looked shocked. You're talking about an armada. Yes, Chen said simply. If we do this, we do it right. These Void Collective forces have already destroyed 3 worlds. We'll need our best ships, our best weapons, and our best people. The room fell silent again as the representatives considered the implications. Walker spoke into the silence. The Lumari's last transmission included coordinates for a meeting point. They're offering to share their technology with us. FTL travel, advanced shielding, weapons we've only dreamed of. They're giving us everything they have left. In exchange for protection, the Russian representative noted. Yes, Walker agreed. In exchange for us doing what humans have always done best, fighting to protect those who can't protect themselves. The debate continued for hours. Walker watched as opinions shifted. Some remained firmly against intervention, but more and more voices joined in support. Finally, General Chen called for a vote. Those in favor of assembling a response fleet? Hands rose around the table slowly at first, then with more confidence. The motion passes, Chen announced. Captain Walker, you'll be returning to space as part of this fleet. We'll need your first-hand knowledge of the Lumari communications. Walker nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Yes, sir. As the meeting adjourned, Walker stepped out into the hallway. Through the large windows, he could see the shipyards in Earth orbit, bright with welding sparks as work continued day and night. Soon those ships would carry humanity beyond their solar system for the first time, not as explorers but as warriors. He thought about the message that had started it all. Help, danger, extinction, need, Deathworlders. The aliens had called humans Deathworlders, as if it were a title of honor. Perhaps it was. Humans had faced extinction many times in their history, from ice ages to plagues to their own wars, and each time they had emerged stronger, more resilient, more determined. Now, they would take that strength to the stars. Walker smiled grimly. The Void Collective had no idea what was coming for them. Admiral Lisa Hayes stood in the massive hangar of the orbital shipyard, watching as thousands of workers swarmed over the hull of the Defiance, Earth's new flagship. 3 months had passed since the decision to help the Lumari, and the work had not stopped for a single moment since then. Impressive, isn't it? Captain James Walker said, joining her at the viewport. Hayes nodded. When humans decide to do something, we don't waste time. Below them, the shipyard extended for miles, filled with vessels in various stages of completion. The Defiance was the largest, a 2-kilometer-long battleship designed to serve as the command center for what people were now calling the Mercy Fleet. Have you reviewed the latest Lumari transmission? Hayes asked. Walker's expression darkened. Yes, another colony lost. Their numbers are down to less than 1 million now, scattered across hidden outposts. Then we need to move faster, Hayes said, turning away from the viewport. Walk with me, Captain. They moved through the bustling corridors of the station. Everywhere they looked, people worked with purpose. Engineers finalizing designs, soldiers training, scientists testing new equipment. The United Nations formally approved the final roster this morning, Hayes said. 37 warships, 15 support vessels, and 5 colony ships for the Lumari survivors we hope to rescue. Colony ships? Walker asked. The Security Council decided that if we're going to war for these people, we should be prepared to offer them sanctuary. Earth has opened its doors to the Lumari. Walker nodded. It was a typically human response. Fight for strangers, then invite them home for dinner. They entered a large conference room where a dozen officers waited around a table. On the wall, a display showed the completed fleet design. Let's begin, Hayes said, taking her seat at the head of the table. Dr. Patel, update on the weapons systems. A woman with sharp eyes and quick hands stood up. The Lumari data on Void Collective ships has been invaluable. Their vessels use a crystalline structure that's vulnerable to specific frequencies. We've modified our main cannons to target these weaknesses. She pulled up a diagram showing a sleek black ship. The Void ships are faster than anything we've built, but their shields have gaps. Our new missile systems are designed to exploit those gaps. And the armor? Walker asked. That's where we have a natural advantage, Dr. Patel said with a small smile. The Void Collective and Lumari both evolved in low-gravity environments. Their ships are built accordingly. Our hulls are designed to withstand Earth's gravity well and atmospheric re-entry. They're significantly stronger. Hayes nodded. What about the crew? How are they adapting to the new tech? Major Torres, the training officer, stood next. Better than expected, Admiral. The Lumari interfaces were designed for beings with more fingers than humans have, but our engineers have adapted them. Training scores improve daily. The biggest challenge has been helping people understand they're about to fight an enemy unlike anything in human history. They'll understand when they see it, Walker said quietly. The footage the Lumari sent of the collective attacks was educational. A somber mood fell over the room. They had all seen the recordings, the Void ships descending on Lumari cities, their weapons cutting through buildings and people with cold efficiency. Let's talk about the timeline, Hayes said, breaking the silence. Engineering, when will the fleet be ready? 2 more weeks for final systems checks, replied the chief. Engineer. The FTL drives have been successfully integrated into all ships. We're just waiting for the final Lumari navigational data. Hayes nodded. Good. Major Torres, I want all crew at combat readiness in 10 days. Yes, Admiral. Dr. Patel, I want every weapon tested twice. Already scheduled, Admiral. Captain Walker, Hayes continued. You'll command the Defiance under my overall fleet command. I want you to personally review the command crew selections. Yes, Admiral, Walker replied. The meeting continued for another hour, each department reporting on their progress. When it concluded, Hayes asked Walker to stay behind. Once they were alone, she walked to a small cabinet and pulled out 2 glasses and a bottle. Whiskey, she said, pouring a small amount in each glass. My grandfather made it, seems appropriate. Walker accepted the glass. For what occasion? Humanity's first interstellar war, Hayes said dryly. Not exactly what we imagined for our big debut in the galaxy. They drank in silence for a moment. Do you think we can win? Walker finally asked. Hayes considered the question. The Void Collective has better technology and more experience in space combat. But humans have something they don't. What's that? We come from a death world, James. Our entire history is one long fight for survival. Against nature, against disease, against each other. We've nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times, but we always come back stronger. She set her glass down. The collective evolved in a gentler environment. They've never had to fight the way we have. Walker nodded slowly. The Lumari called us evolved predators. Yes, Hayes said. And they were right. Now it's time to hunt, the Yo. Day of departure arrived with little fanfare. There were no grand ceremonies, no long speeches. Earth had worked in secrecy, not wanting to broadcast their intentions across space where the Void Collective might intercept them. Walker stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as his crew took their stations. They were the best Earth had to offer, soldiers, pilots, engineers, and scientists from every nation. All systems online, Captain, reported his first officer, Maria. Fleet status? Walker asked. All ships report ready, sir. Admiral Hayes is boarding the command shuttle now. Walker nodded. Put the Admiral on screen when she's ready. Minutes later, Hayes appeared on the main view screen. She was now aboard the Defiance, making her final approach to the bridge. This is Admiral Hayes to all ships. Comms check. One by one, the captains of the 57 ships responded, their voices clear and determined. All ships reporting in, Admiral, the communications officer announced. Hayes took a deep breath. This is it. The moment humanity steps beyond our solar system, not as explorers, but as warriors. We go to help a people we've never met, against an enemy we barely understand. She paused. The Lumari called us Deathworlders. They called us survivors. Today, we proved them right. She looked around at her officers, her expression resolute. Prepare for FTL jump. The coordinates have been sent to all ships. We jump together. On my mark. Walker felt a surge of pride as he watched his crew prepare for humanity's first faster-than-light journey. The engines hummed with power, the deck vibrating slightly beneath his feet. FTL drives at full capacity, Captain, the engineering officer reported. Navigational coordinates locked in, added the helm officer. On the view screen, Hayes raised her hand. May God, or whatever forces exist in this universe, watch over us all. She brought her hand down. Jump. The stars outside the viewport stretched into lines, and then into a swirling tunnel of light as the Mercy fleet, humanity's answer to a desperate call for help, leapt into the unknown. Behind them, Earth grew small, then vanished altogether as its children went to war among the stars. The Mercy fleet emerged from FTL travel with a flash of light that briefly outshone the distant stars. Captain Walker steadied himself against his command chair as the Defiance settled into normal space. Around them, the other ships appeared, one by one, their hulls gleaming in the light of an unfamiliar sun. Status report, Walker ordered, scanning the main view screen. All systems functional, Captain, Maria reported. Minor power fluctuations in the engineering section, but within expected parameters for our first jump. Fleet status? All 57 ships accounted for, sir. Minimal damage reported. Walker nodded with satisfaction. For humanity's first attempt at FTL travel, things had gone remarkably well. Communications, open a channel to Admiral Hayes. Admiral Hayes appeared on screen moments later. Good work, Captain. Our arrival coordinates match the Lumari rendezvous point exactly. Any sign of them, Admiral? Hayes frowned. Nothing yet. Long-range scanners are detecting debris in the outer system, but no ships. Keep the fleet at yellow alert until... Admiral, interrupted the sensor officer's voice. We're detecting a small vessel approaching from behind the system's fourth planet. It's using a propulsion system that matches Lumari designs. On screen, Hayes ordered. The view screen shifted to show a sleek, silver ship approaching slowly. It was small, perhaps a quarter the size of Earth's smallest vessel, and moved with an unusual grace. They're hailing us, Admiral, the communications officer reported. Hayes straightened her uniform. Put them through. The screen flickered, and for the first time, humans looked upon the face of another intelligent species. The Lumari had pale, blue skin and large dark eyes that dominated their narrow faces. A crest of what looked like fine tendrils ran from the top of their heads down their backs. I am Trell, last admiral of the Lumari Defense Fleet, the alien said, its voice translated by the system the Lumari had provided in their transmissions. You are the humans of Earth? I am Admiral Lisa Hayes of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call and have come to help. Trell's large eyes blinked slowly. You are real. Many believed Earth would not respond. The journey is long, and our plight is not yours. We came as quickly as we could, Hayes replied. Our fleet is at your disposal. Trell seemed to study the human for a moment. You are smaller than I expected. Your world has such high gravity. We thought you would be larger. Walker saw Hayes smile slightly. What we lack in size, we make up for in determination, Admiral Trell. Now, where are your people? Your last transmission mentioned survivors. Trell's expression changed in a way Walker couldn't interpret. Follow my vessel. I will take you to them. But be prepared, humans. What you are about to see may disturb you. The Lumari ship led them to a small moon orbiting the system's fifth planet. As they approached, Walker could see that the moon's surface had been hollowed out, creating a massive hidden base inside its crust. Clever, Walker murmured. The moon's natural minerals would hide life signs from sensors. The Defiance and 3 escort ships followed Trell's vessel into a large opening in the moon's surface. Inside was a cavernous space filled with Lumari ships of various sizes, most showing battle damage. But what caught Walker's attention were the makeshift living areas constructed throughout the cave. thousands of simple shelters housing Lumari civilians. There are so few, Maria whispered beside him. Walker nodded grimly. According to the Lumari transmissions, their civilization had once spanned 12 planets with a population of billions. Now they were reduced to refugees hiding in a hollowed-out moon. A shuttle took Walker, Hayes, and a small security team down to the moon's surface. Trell met them at the landing area, accompanied by several other Lumari. "Welcome to what remains of the Lumari Confederacy," Trell said, gesturing around them. 10,000 survivors, all that's left after the Void Collective's purge. Hayes stepped forward. "We're sorry we couldn't come sooner." "You came," said another Lumari, stepping forward. This one wore elaborate garments that seemed to indicate high status. "That is more than any other world did. I am Vina, first speaker of the Lumari Council." "What happened to your homeworld?" Walker asked. Trell and Vina exchanged looks. "We will show you," Trell said quietly. They were led to a large chamber that served as the Lumari command center. On a large screen, Trell displayed images that made the human officers flinch. A beautiful blue-green world, not unlike Earth, being systematically destroyed. Black ships moving with precision, firing weapons that cut through cities like knives through paper. The attack lasted 6 hours, Trell said flatly. 6 hours to end a civilization that had stood for 50,000 years. "Why?" Hayes asked, her voice tight. "Why would they do this?" "The Void Collective believes in purity of evolution," Vina explained. "They evolved in the cold void of space, adapting to radiation and vacuum naturally. They see species like ours, and yours, as evolutionary dead ends. Creatures that required a comfortable planet to evolve. They call us soft species," Trell added. "And they believe it is their destiny to cleanse the galaxy of our weakness." Walker studied the images of the Void ships. "These recordings will help us prepare. But I need to know, why did you call us specifically? There must be other, spacefaring races." Vina stepped closer to the humans. "Because you are unique. You come from a world that should have killed you. High gravity, extreme weather, radiation, predators, disease. Your Earth is what we call a death world. Yet you not only survived, you thrived. And more importantly," Trell added, "you never stopped fighting. Your history is filled with conflict, yet you've always emerged stronger. The Void Collective has never encountered a species like yours." "How do you know so much about us?" Walker asked. "We have been observing Earth for centuries," Vina admitted. "We saw your world wars, your cold wars, your constant smaller conflicts. At first we were afraid of you. Then we realized your capacity for violence might be the very thing that saves us." Hayes looked troubled. "Humanity has worked hard to move beyond our violent past. Yet you still came with warships," Trell noted. "Because you understand that sometimes peace must be defended with force." Before Hayes could respond, an alarm blared through the base. A Lumari officer rushed into the room. "Void ships detected entering the system," the officer reported, panic clear in their voice. Trell turned to the humans, fear and hope mingling in those large alien eyes. "They've found us. After all this time, they've found us." Walker and Hayes exchanged glances. This wasn't how they had planned their first encounter with the enemy. They had hoped for time to prepare, to study, to plan. "How many ships?" Hayes asked. 3 patrol vessels, the Lumari officer replied. Hayes nodded decisively. "Then it's time to show the Void Collective what Deathworlders can do." She activated her communicator. "Hayes to Mercy Fleet, battle stations, we have incoming hostiles." As the humans rushed back to their ships, Walker heard Trell say quietly to Vina, "Now we will see if we were right to call them." Vina's response followed Walker into the shuttle. "They are our last hope. If the Deathworlders cannot save us, no one can." "Void patrol vessels entering visual range," announced the sensor officer on the Defiance's bridge. 3 ships, Delta formation, approaching at half-light speed. Captain Walker studied the tactical display. The 3 black ships moved with perfect coordination, their sleek forms reminiscent of predatory fish. They haven't detected us yet, Walker noted. They're focused on scanning the moon. Admiral Hayes's voice came through the comm. All ships maintain position behind the moon's shadow. Captain Walker, deploy the Raven, Hawk, and Eagle for first contact. Yes, Admiral, Walker replied. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the attack squadrons. Execute Plan Alpha. 3. Of Earth's fastest ships detached from the fleet and swung around the moon's dark side. Walker watched on the main screen as they approached the Void Patrol vessels. Admiral, Walker said quietly, shouldn't we attempt communication first? Hayes's expression remained firm. The Lumari tried talking. The Void Collective responded, by destroying their homeworld. We're not making the same mistake. Walker nodded. She was right, of course. This wasn't a diplomatic mission anymore. On the screen, the 3 Earth ships accelerated toward the unsuspecting Void Patrol. They fired their newly designed weapons simultaneously, brilliant blue energy beams that struck the Void ships before. They could raise their shields. 2 of the Void vessels spun from the impact. The third managed to recover quickly and returned fire, its strange purple beam cutting through space. Hawk is hit, reported the tactical officer. Shields down to 40%. Walker leaned forward. Deploy second wave. Target the damaged. Vessels first. 5 more Earth ships shot from behind the moon, launching a barrage of missiles specially designed to exploit the weaknesses in Void technology that the Lumari had identified. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the battle unfolded. The Void ships were fast and their weapons powerful, but they seemed confused by the human attack pattern. They were used to methodical, predictable enemies, not the seemingly chaotic approach of the Earth vessels. They're sending a transmission, the communications officer announced suddenly. It's not directed at us, they're calling for reinforcements. Hayes's face hardened on the screen. Jam their signals. All ships full attack. We end this now. The entire Mercy fleet emerged from hiding, a wall of Earth-built warships bearing down on the 3 Void patrol vessels. The outcome was never in doubt. Within minutes, 2 of the Void ships were destroyed, and the third was disabled and drifting. Boarding teams ready, Captain, Maria reported. Walker nodded. Tell them to proceed with caution. We want prisoners if possible. As the boarding operation began, Trell's ship approached the Defiance. The Lumari admiral requested permission to come aboard, which Walker granted immediately. When Trell entered the bridge, the alien stopped and stared at the tactical display showing the destroyed Void ships. Impossible, Trell whispered. 3 Void vessels destroyed in a single engagement? No species has ever achieved this. Walker stepped closer to the Lumari. Your information was accurate. Their shields had the exact vulnerabilities you described. But the speed of your attack, the coordination... Trell seemed unable to comprehend what had happened. Void ships have always been superior. Not today, Walker said simply. Admiral, Hayes joined them on the bridge, extending her hand to Trell in the human gesture of greeting that they had explained earlier. This is only the beginning, Admiral Trell, but the Void Collective will know now that the Lumari are no longer undefended. Trell looked at Hayes's hand, then carefully took it. You fight differently than any species I have seen. Your ships moved in patterns that seemed random, unpredictable. That's because they were, Hayes explained. Each captain has authority to adapt to the situation as it unfolds. We don't rely on centralized command for every decision. Fascinating, Trell said. The Void always attack in perfect formation, never deviating from their patterns. It is their strength, and as you just proved, their weakness. The tactical officer interrupted. Admiral, the boarding team reports they've secured the Void vessel. They've captured 3 crew members. Hayes turned to Trell. Would you like to join us? This will be our first direct contact with the enemy. Walker had seen images of the Void Collective beings, but nothing prepared him for the reality. They were tall, nearly 2.5 meters, with translucent gray skin that revealed shadowy organs beneath. They had no eyes that he could identify, just smooth sensor pads where eyes might be expected. Their limbs were long and jointed in unusual places, The three captured void beings stood in the Defiance's secure bay, surrounded by armed guards. They showed no signs of fear or concern, just cold, calculating stillness. "Can they understand us?" Walker asked Trell. "Yes. The void. Collective studies all species they encounter. They likely know your language already." Hayes stepped forward. "I am Admiral Lisa Hayes of Earth. You attacked a species under our protection. Explain yourselves." The tallest of the void beings turned its eyeless face toward her. When it spoke, its voice was flat and mechanical, clearly produced by some form of technology. "You are unknown. Identify evolutionary origin." Hayes frowned. "We are humans from Earth. Classification: Deathworld species," the void being stated. "Impossible. Deathworld species do not achieve space travel. They destroy themselves first." Walker couldn't help but smile grimly. "Yet here we are." The void being seemed to process this information. "Error in assessment. Will update collective database. New threat identified." "We don't have to be a threat," Hayes said. "End your attacks on the Lumari, and we can discuss peace. Soft species are evolutionary dead ends," the void being replied without emotion. "They require controlled environments. To survive, they are flawed. The collective cleanses flaws." Hayes's expression hardened. "And what about humans? Are we flawed too?" The void being was silent for a moment. "Humans, uncertain classification, evolved on Deathworld but achieve space travel. Requires further study. You'll have plenty of time to study us," Hayes said coldly, "because we're not going anywhere. Tell your leaders, Earth stands with the Lumari. Any further attacks will be met with the full force of our fleet." The void being made an unusual movement that might have been a gesture of dismissal. "Your ships. Few. Collective ships. Many. You will be cleansed." Trell stepped forward. Anger visible in every line of the Lumari's body. "You destroyed our homeworld. Billions died." "Yes," the void being replied simply. "Inefficient species removed. Resources preserved for worthy evolution." Walker had to restrain Trell, who lunged toward the prisoner. "Take them to the secure cells." Walker ordered the guards. "Make sure they're treated according to protocols." As the void beings were led away, Hayes turned to Walker and Trell. "Well, diplomacy doesn't seem to be an option." "It never was," Trell said bitterly. "The collective believes completely in their evolutionary superiority. They see all other life as a mistake to be corrected." "Then we correct them first," Walker said firmly. His communicator beeped urgently. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting multiple FTL signatures approaching the system. Based on their pattern, they appear to be void ships." Hayes and Walker exchanged looks. "How many?" Hayes asked. "At least 30, Admiral. Possibly more. They're coming in force," Walker said quietly. Hayes nodded, her expression resolute. "Good. Now we get to show them what humans are really capable of." She activated her fleet-wide channel. "All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill. The enemy is coming, and they're coming in force." As they headed back to the bridge, Trell spoke softly to Walker. "You don't seem afraid, Captain." Walker considered this. "Humans have faced extinction many times in our history, Admiral Trell. It's taught us something important." "What's that?" Walker's eyes hardened as he watched the tactical display fill with incoming enemy ships. "That we're very, very hard to kill." The bridge of the Defiance hummed with tense energy as the tactical display filled with red dots representing the approaching Void Collective fleet. 35 ships in total, each larger than anything they had faced in the first skirmish. "They're not wasting any time," Walker observed, studying the enemy formation. Standard attack pattern, just like Trell described. Admiral Hayes stood beside him, her face illuminated by the glow of the tactical screen. "They think this will be easy. They've never lost a war before." "First time for everything," Walker replied with a grim smile. Hayes turned to address the bridge crew. "This is what we prepared for. The Void Collective believes we are just another soft species they can eliminate. Today, we prove them wrong. She activated the fleet-wide communication. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. The Mercy fleet moved with practiced precision. Instead of meeting the Void fleet head-on, the Earth ships split into 5 smaller groups, each taking position around the system's planets and moons. They're confused, Trell observed from his position near Walker. The collective expects enemies to form defensive lines around valuable targets. We're not defending, Walker explained. We're hunting. On the main screen, the Void fleet paused, their perfect formation holding as they assessed the human strategy. After a brief delay, they divided their forces, sending ships after each human squadron. They took the bait, Hayes said with satisfaction. All ships, Phase 2. The Earth vessels suddenly accelerated, but not toward the enemy. Instead, they launched what appeared to be a retreat, drawing the Void ships into a complex dance through the system. I don't understand, Trell said, watching the tactical display with confusion. Your ships are running. Not running, Walker corrected. Leading. As if on cue, Earth ships began dropping small objects behind them, thousands of them spreading throughout the paths they traveled. Mines? Trell asked. Better, Walker replied. Smart mines. They don't just explode, they learn. The first Void ship hit a cluster of the devices. Instead of a simple explosion, the mines attached themselves to the ship's hull, analyzing its shield frequency and adapting to penetrate it. Within seconds, the Void vessel's engines failed, leaving it drifting helplessly. One by one, other Void ships encountered the intelligent weapons. Some were disabled, others destroyed outright as the mines shared data between themselves, becoming more effective with each encounter. Remarkable, Trell whispered, watching as the mighty Void fleet found itself caught in humanity's trap. But the collective adapted quickly. Their remaining ships adjusted course, avoiding the mined areas and regrouping for a concentrated attack. Their flagship is targeting us directly, the tactical officer reported. 20 Void ships on approach, all weapons hot. Hayes nodded calmly. Right on schedule. Captain Walker, you have the con. I'm heading to the Special Operations deck. Walker took command of the bridge as Hayes left. All defensive systems online. Prepare main cannons for synchronized fire. The massive Void flagship led the charge, its black hull absorbing the light from the system's sun as it bore down on the Defiance. Behind it, a wall of Void warships moved in perfect formation. They're within range, Maria reported. Walker waited, his eyes fixed on the tactical display, watching as the distance closed. Not yet. The Void ships fired first, purple energy beams slicing through space toward the Earth vessels. Evasive maneuvers, Walker ordered. The Defiance rolled to port, the energy beam missing by meters. Now, Walker commanded. All ships, execute Fire Plan Delta. The Earth fleet fired simultaneously, not at the Void ships, but at the space between them. Brilliant explosions blossomed in the vacuum, creating a wall of electromagnetic disturbance. What was that? Trell asked in confusion. Disruption charges, Walker explained. Designed to interfere with their sensors and communication systems. They fight as a perfectly coordinated unit. Let's see how they do when they can't talk to each other. On the screen, the Void formation began to falter. Without their linked systems, each ship had to operate independently, something they clearly weren't accustomed to doing. Walker pressed the advantage. All ships attack Pattern Omega. Target the flagship. The Earth vessels surged forward, focusing their fire on the massive Void command ship. Its shields flickered under the concentrated assault. Admiral Hayes to bridge, came Hayes's voice over the comm. The special package is ready. We need an opening. Walker studied the enemy flagship. Its shields were weakening but still active. We need more firepower. Trell stepped forward. Captain, the Lumari still have weapons. Our remaining ships carry our most powerful torpedoes. We saved them hoping for a chance like this. Walker nodded. Do it. Within minutes, a dozen small Lumari ships emerged from the moon base, each carrying a single massive torpedo. They darted, between the Earth vessels, their speed surprising the Void ships. Lumari vessels target the flagship's port shield generator, Walker ordered. Fire on my mark. The small Lumari ships positioned themselves with precision. Walker counted down. 3, 2, 1, mark! 12 torpedoes struck the same point on the Void flagship's shield. The concentrated energy overloaded the system, creating a momentary gap in the protective barrier. Now, Admiral, Walker called. From the underside of the Defiance, a small, sleek craft detached and accelerated toward the Void flagship. Admiral, Hayes herself piloted the vessel, accompanied by a team of Earth's best soldiers. We're going in, Hayes reported. Keep them busy, Captain. Walker turned to his tactical officer. All ships covering fire, everything we've got. The Earth fleet unleashed a barrage against the Void ships, drawing their attention away from Hayes's infiltration craft. The small vessel slipped through the gap in the flagship's shields and attached itself to the hull. Long minutes passed as Walker directed the battle outside. Earth ships moved unpredictably, confusing the Void vessels that relied on patterns and formations. Without their central command, the Void fleet's advantage in numbers meant less and less. Captain, Maria called out, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Hayes. Hayes's face appeared on screen, her expression triumphant despite a cut above her eye. We've reached their command center. Their leaders are not what we expected. The camera panned to show a chamber filled with machinery. At the center, connected to countless cables and tubes, was a single Void being, larger than any they had seen before. It's a hive mind, Hayes explained. One central intelligence controlling the entire fleet, and right now it's listening to me. She turned to face the creature. Your fleet is in disarray. Your ships are being destroyed one by one. Surrender, now, or we will be forced to eliminate you entirely. The massive Void being's voice filled the channel. Impossible. Deathworlders cannot defeat the collective. Does not compute. Look at your fleet, Hayes said firmly. This is reality. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived predators, disasters, disease, and our own wars. We learned to adapt, to think independently, to work together without sacrificing our individuality. Your perfect coordination is your weakness. Our controlled chaos is our strength. The Void being was silent for a long moment. New assessment required. Humans, dangerous. More dangerous than predicted. Yes, Hayes agreed. Far more dangerous than you can imagine. But we don't want to destroy you. We want peace. For ourselves, for the Lumari, and for all other species you've threatened. Peace. Inefficient, the Void being responded. Perhaps, Hayes conceded. But it's the only option you have left. Withdraw your forces from Lumari, space. End your campaign of extermination. If you don't, we will bring the full might of Earth against you, and unlike today, we won't show mercy. On the tactical display, Walker watched as the Void ships suddenly ceased firing. One by one, they began to retreat, their movements no longer perfectly synchronized. They're withdrawing, Trell said in disbelief. I never thought I would see this day. Walker placed a hand on the Lumari's shoulder. It's not over yet, but it's a start. 3 days later, Admiral Hayes stood before a gathering of human officers and Lumari leaders in the Great Hall of the Moon Base. The walls, once bare, now displayed the flags of Earth nations alongside Lumari symbols. Today, we have signed the first treaty between the Void Collective and the United Species of Earth and Lumari, Hayes announced. The Collective has agreed to withdraw from all Lumari territories and to cease their campaign of extinction against soft species. A cheer went up from the assembled crowd. Captain Walker, standing at attention beside Trell, allowed himself a small smile. This victory was not won through strength alone, Hayes continued. It was won because we showed the Collective something they had never seen before. Different species working together, combining their strengths, she gestured to the Lumari. Our new allies have already begun sharing their technology with Earth. Soon, the first Lumari refugees will journey to our world, where they will find a new home among friends. Trell stepped forward. For thousands of years, my people explored the stars in peace. We never imagined we would find both our greatest threat and our salvation in the same galaxy. The Lumari turned to face the humans. You came when no one else would. You fought when we could not. The Lumari will never forget what the Deathworlders of Earth have done. Walker watched as human. Commander Thomas Reed stood tall on the bridge of the UES Defiance, his dark eyes fixed on the main screen as it displayed a jumbled message. The ship's AI worked to clean up the signal. Any progress on that translation, Miller? Reed asked. Lieutenant, Miller tapped at her control panel. Her fingers moved quickly across the surface. Almost there, sir. The language is similar to Lumari Standard. Give me 1 more minute. Reed nodded and walked to the wide viewport. Stars stretched out before him in endless patterns. Just 5 years ago, humans had learned they were not alone in the galaxy. The news had shocked Earth at first, then excited people. But the excitement turned to concern when the Galactic Council classified Earth as a Class 12 death world. Most alien species came from gentle planets with low gravity, mild weather, and few predators. Humans had evolved on a world that tried to kill them at every turn. Storms, earthquakes, diseases, and deadly animals had shaped humans into something the rest of the galaxy found scary. Survivors who never gave up. Sir, I have the message clear now, Miller called out. It's definitely from the Lumari. Reed turned back. Put it on screen. The main display flickered, then showed a blue-skinned alien. Its large eyes were filled with fear. The ship's computer translated its words into English text below the image. This is High Elder Toril of the Lumari Collective. We send this message to any who can hear. The Vex Dominion has entered our system with many warships. They demand we surrender our world and resources. We have no weapons, no defenses. We follow the path of peace. Please, if anyone receives this, our people face extinction. We beg for help before it is too late. The message ended, and silence filled the bridge. Reed looked at his crew. Each face showed the same emotion, anger mixed with determination. When was this sent? Reed asked. 3 days ago, sir, Miller replied. It's been bouncing through the relay network. We're the first Earthship to pick it up. Reed pressed a button on his chair. Send this to Earth Command immediately. Priority 1. Within an hour, the Defiance received new orders. Admiral Keller's stern face appeared on the main screen. Commander Reed, the Security Council has reviewed the Lumari distress call. The Galactic Council advised us not to get involved. They say it's not our fight. The Admiral's expression hardened. We disagree. Reed stood straighter. What are our orders, Admiral? You are to proceed to the Lumari system at once. I'm sending the first response fleet to join you. 15 ships in total. 15 ships, sir? Reed questioned. Do we know how many vessels the Vex have? Our intelligence suggests at least 50, maybe more. The Admiral paused. I know what you're thinking, Reed. The odds aren't good. Reed smiled slightly. With respect, sir, humans have always been good at beating the odds. That's why we're sending you. The Lumari are peaceful. They've done nothing to deserve this attack. Earth may be new to the galactic community, but we still remember our own history. We know what happens when good people do nothing while others suffer. Reed nodded solemnly. Earth's past was filled with dark chapters where innocents died because help came too late or not at all. The fleet will rendezvous with you at Jump Point 7 in 10 hours. You'll lead them in, Commander. Find out what's happening. Help the Lumari if possible and show the Vex Dominion that attacking peaceful worlds has consequences. Understood, Admiral. We won't let you down. After the call ended, Reed turned to his bridge crew. Set course. For Jump Point 7, maximum speed. As the Defiance's engines powered up, Reed called the ship's officers to the command room. Maps and data filled the screens as they gathered around the table. What do we know about the Vex? Asked Lieutenant Walker, the tactical officer. Reed brought up an image of a tall reptilian being with scaled skin and sharp teeth. The Vex evolved on a low-gravity world. They're physically weaker than humans but have advanced technology. They've conquered 6 systems in the past decade. And the Lumari? Asked Dr. Harris, the ship's chief medical officer. Reed displayed an image of the blue-skinned aliens. They were slender with large, gentle eyes. Peaceful scholars and artists. Their planet is resource-rich, but they have no military. The Vex likely want their world for its minerals and location. Captain Jones, who would command the UES Thunder in the fleet, spoke up on the video link. 15 ships against 50. Those are terrible odds, Commander. Reed looked at each face, both in the room and on the screens. Yes, but the Vex have never fought humans before. They don't know what Deathworlders can do. He pulled up a tactical display. The Vex rely on numbers and intimidation. Their ships are built for show. Large and impressive, but their hulls are thin. They've never needed strong ships because no one fights back. Our ships were built on Earth, designed to withstand deep ocean pressures and atmospheric re-entry. Reed continued. Our crews can handle G-forces that would kill most alien species. We're faster, tougher, and more determined. Dr. Harris nodded. From a biological standpoint, humans have advantages. Our reflexes are quicker, our endurance greater. We evolved as pursuit predators. We don't give up. Reed closed the displays. The Vex think numbers win wars. We're going to teach them that quality matters more than quantity. As the officers returned to their duties, Reed stayed behind. He looked at the image of the Lumari elder, its eyes pleading for help. We're coming, he said quietly. 10 hours later, the Defiance reached jump point 7. 14 Earthships waited there, their hulls gleaming in the starlight. The first response fleet wasn't large, but each ship carried the best technology Earth could build, crewed by men and women from a world that had forged them into survivors. Reed opened a channel to the fleet. This is Commander Reed. Our mission is clear. Reach the Lumari, assess the situation, and stop the Vex attack if possible. We are outnumbered, but not outmatched. The Lumari called for help, and humanity has answered. He paused, then added, throughout our history we faced impossible odds. It's what we do best. The Vex are about to learn what it means to face humans in battle. Set course for the Lumari system. Maximum speed. As one, the 15 ships of Earth turned and vanished into hyperspace, racing to the aid of aliens they had never met. Ready to face an enemy who had no idea what was coming for them. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Lumari system. Commander Reed stood on the bridge of the Defiance, his face grim as he studied the main screen. My God, whispered Lieutenant Miller beside him. The Lumari homeworld, once famous for its beautiful blue oceans and white clouds, now had ugly black scars visible even from space. Smoke rose from the burning cities. Around the planet, nearly 50 Vex warships formed a blockade, preventing anyone from leaving or entering. Scan for life signs, Reed ordered. Walker worked at his station. Millions of Lumari life signs detected, sir. They appear to be hiding underground. The Vex haven't started a ground invasion yet. Reed nodded. They're still alive. We're not. Too late. Sir, called out Communications Officer Taylor, we're being hailed by the largest Vex ship. Put it on screen, Reed said, straightening his uniform. The display changed to show a reptilian face. The Vex commander had green scales, yellow eyes with narrow pupils and sharp teeth that showed when he spoke. Unidentified vessels, the Vex hissed. This system is now territory of the Vex Dominion. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Reed stepped forward. I am Commander Thomas Reed of the United Earth Fleet. We are responding to a distress call from the Lumari people. The Vex's eyes narrowed. Earth? The new species? He made a sound like laughter. This matter does not concern you. The Lumari system is rich in resources that the Vex Dominion requires. They were given the choice to serve us or be removed. We request that you end your attack and leave this system, Reed said firmly. The Vex commander's scales darkened with anger. I am Supreme Commander Drath of the Vex Dominion. We do not take orders from newcomers. He leaned closer to the screen, especially not from a tiny fleet of 15 ships. Reed remained calm. The Lumari are a peaceful species. They've done nothing to deserve this attack. Peace is weakness, Drath spat. The weak serve the strong, that is the law of nature. Not our nature, Reed replied. Where I come from, the strong protect the weak. Drath's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. And what species are you to make such bold claims? We're humans, Reed said simply. From Earth. A visible reaction passed through the Vex command crew behind Drath. One leaned forward and whispered something in the commander's ear. Drath's eyes widened slightly. Deathworlders, he said, the word coming out like a curse. We have heard stories. Your gravity is high, your world harsh. But stories are just stories. Reed didn't respond to that. We ask again that you withdraw your forces from this system. Drath recovered his confidence and bared his teeth. 15 ships against our armada. Even Deathworlders cannot overcome such odds. You have 1 hour to leave this system, or we will destroy you along with any Lumari who resist us. The screen went black as Drath cut the connection. Reed turned to his bridge crew. He's afraid. He's heard about humans but doesn't want to believe we're a threat. So what do we do now, sir? Asked Miller. We use that hour to prepare. Reed opened a channel to all Earth ships. All captains, virtual conference in 5 minutes, and get me a direct line to the Lumari if possible. Soon the faces of 14 ship captains appeared on the main screen, along with a blue-skinned Lumari, who introduced himself as Elder Taral. Thank you for coming, Taral said, his large eyes full of emotion. We feared no one would answer our call. We came as soon as we received your message, Reed assured him. What's the situation on the ground? The Vex began bombing our cities 3 days ago, Taral explained. We had no warning, no chance to negotiate. We've moved our people into the underground cave networks beneath our cities. The caves are shielded, but we cannot stay there forever. Reed nodded. Hold on a little longer, Elder. We're going to help you. After Toral's image disappeared, Reed addressed his captains. The Vex have given us an hour. They expect us to leave or prepare to die. Instead, we're going to use this time to plan their defeat. Captain Jones of the Thunder spoke up. Commander, I've analyzed their fleet. Their ships are impressive in size, but the designs favor appearance over function. Lots of decorative elements, thin armor in places. They evolved on a world with 1/3 of Earth's gravity, added Captain Patel of the UES Storm. Their ships are built light because they've never needed to withstand high G-forces. Reed smiled. Exactly. And that gives us our first advantage. He pulled up a tactical display. I propose we use the Nemean Lion strategy. The captain studied the battle plan. It was named after an ancient Earth legend of a beast that could not be defeated by normal means. It's risky, said Captain Williams of the UES Guardian. We'll be taking heavy fire. Our ships were built to withstand pressures that would crush a Vex vessel, Reed reminded them. And our crews can handle maneuvers that would kill most alien species. He looked at each captain's face. The Vex expect us to fight like they do, at a distance, with caution. They don't understand what it means to face humans in battle. One by one, the captains nodded their agreement. Prepare your ships and crews, Reed ordered. And remember, the Vex have never fought Deathworlders before. Let's show them why our world's gravity and dangers made us strong instead of killing us. As the conference ended, Reed turned to his bridge crew. Battle stations. Prepare all weapons. Systems. Sir, Miller called out. I'm detecting movement from the Vex fleet. Several ships are breaking formation and heading toward us. Reed's eyes narrowed. It seems Commander Drath is impatient. He's not going to wait the full hour. They're powering weapons, Walker reported. Reed took his command chair. Shields up. Send to all ships. Nemean Lion Protocol, Phase 1. Let's show the Vex what humans can do. The 15 Earth ships formed a tight formation as the Vex vessels approached. To anyone watching, it might have looked like the humans were clustering together in fear. On the Vex command ship, Drath watched with satisfaction. See how they huddle together, he told his officers. These Deathworlders are not so fearsome after all. His second-in-command looked less certain. Supreme Commander, our intelligence on humans is limited. Perhaps we should wait for the rest of the fleet before engaging. Nonsense, Drath hissed. 15 ships are no match for even this small portion of our force. Once we destroy their fleet, the rest of the galaxy will see that even Deathworlders bow before the Vex dominion. As the Vex ships came within firing range, Drath gave the order to attack. Target their engines first. I want them disabled, not destroyed. Their ships will make fine additions to our fleet. Energy beams lanced out from the Vex vessels toward the human ships. The battle had begun. What Drath didn't realize was that the humans weren't huddling in fear. They were coiling like a spring, ready to release their full power at the perfect moment. Energy beams from the Vex ship slammed into the human fleet's shields. The bridge of the Defiance shook, but the shields held. Return fire, Reed ordered calmly. Target their lead ships. Focus on weak points in their hull design. The human vessels fired back. Unlike the flashy, colorful weapons of the Vex, Earth weapons were practical and deadly, focused beams that cut through the decorative outer layers of the Vex ships. 2 Vex vessels damaged, sir, reported Walker. Their shields are weaker than we expected. Reed nodded. They've never needed strong defenses. No one fights back against them. On his command ship, Drath frowned as damage reports came in. Impossible, he hissed. How did they penetrate our shield so easily? Their weapons are more powerful than our intelligence suggested, his second-in-command replied. And they're targeting the thin sections of our hull design. Drath's scales darkened with anger. Launch all fighters, surround them. Hundreds of small Vex fighter craft poured out from the larger ships, moving to encircle the human fleet. Reed watched them, on the tactical display. Hold formation, he ordered his fleet. Wait for my signal. The fighters closed in, firing constantly at the human ships. The shields of the Earth vessels flickered but remained strong. Sir, our shields are holding at 82%, Miller reported. The Vex weapons are powerful but inefficient. Reed checked the tactical display. The Vex fighters had almost completely surrounded them now. Larger Vex ships moved in behind the fighters, thinking they had the humans trapped. Now, Reed said, into the fleetcom. Nemean Lion Phase 2. What happened next shocked the Vex commanders. The human ship suddenly accelerated in all directions, breaking their tight formation. The acceleration was so extreme that it would have killed most alien crews, crushing them under the G-forces. But humans, evolved on a high-gravity world, could withstand forces that would be fatal to species like the Vex. The Earth ship shot through the Vex formation like bullets, their weapons firing with deadly accuracy. 5 Vex fighters exploded instantly. 2 larger ships suffered critical damage as the humans targeted their engine sections. Keep moving, Reed ordered as the Defiance spun and weaved through enemy fire. Don't give them a chance to lock on. Inside, the Vex ships' crews struggled to track the human vessels. The Earth ships moved in ways that seemed impossible, changing direction faster than Vex targeting systems could follow. What is happening? Drath demanded, gripping his command chair, as he watched the battle unfold. How are they moving like that? Their crews, gasped his tactical officer. The G-forces they're enduring would kill our people instantly. Deathworlders, someone whispered on the bridge. The human ships continued their aggressive maneuvers, firing constantly. 3 more Vex vessels erupted in flames. The fighters, designed for speed but not durability, were being destroyed one after another. On the Defiance, the crew worked efficiently despite the crushing pressure of high-G maneuvers. Their bodies, products of evolution on Earth, could handle stresses that would break the bones of most alien species. Vex fleet is in disarray, Walker reported, his voice strained from the G-forces but still functional. They're trying to regroup. Reed saw his opportunity. All ships target their command vessels. Break their chain of command. The Earth fleet pivoted as one and charged toward the larger Vex ships at the rear of their formation. The Vex, not expecting such a direct assault, scrambled to respond. Shield status? Reed asked as the Defiance shook from enemy fire. Holding at 64%, sir, Miller replied. We can take more hits than they can. The UES Thunder under Captain Jones took heavy damage as it led the charge against a Vex command ship. Its shields flickered and failed. Thunder is hit, Walker called out. Their shields are down. Reed opened a channel. Jones, pull back. Negative, Commander, came the reply. We're still in the fight. The Thunder, despite trailing fire and debris, continued its attack run. Its weapons tore into the Vex command ship, targeting the bridge section. A massive explosion bloomed in space as the Vex vessel's power core detonated. Vex command ship, destroyed, Walker announced. Thunder is damaged but operational. Reed nodded grimly. This is why we'll win. We don't give up. The battle continued to rage. 3 Vex ships tried to flee, but the faster human vessels caught them. 2 more Vex command ships exploded under concentrated fire from Earth vessels. Drath watched in growing horror as his fleet was torn apart. This cannot be happening, he snarled. They are just 15 ships. Supreme Commander, his second in command, said urgently. We should retreat and regroup with the main fleet. No. Drath slammed his fist on the arm of his chair. I will not run from these primitives. Just then, the bridge shook violently as the Defiance scored a direct hit on their shields. Shields down to 40%, reported a frightened officer. Another hit like that and they'll fail completely. Drath hesitated, then made his decision. Order all ships to concentrate fire on their lead vessel, the one called Defiance. If we destroy their commander, the rest will break. The remaining Vex ships turned their weapons on the Defiance. Multiple energy beams struck the human ship at once. Shields at 31%, Miller called out as the bridge shook. They're all targeting us. Reed smiled. Just as we expected. Send to Thunder and Storm, execute flanking pattern Delta. While the Vex focused on the Defiance, the Thunder and Storm swung around behind them. The damaged Thunder, despite trailing debris, fired directly into the engines of Drath's command ship. The Storm targeted 2 more Vex vessels, disabling their weapon systems with precise shots. Sir, Walker said with excitement in his voice, the Vex are breaking formation. 8 ships are retreating. On his badly damaged ship, Drath finally accepted the truth. These humans were unlike any enemy the Vex had faced before. Their ships were tougher, their crews more resilient, and their tactics unpredictable. Order all ships to retreat, he commanded. We will rejoin the main fleet and return with overwhelming force. But as the Vex ships turned to flee, they found the human vessels had anticipated this move. The Earth fleet had positioned themselves to cut off escape routes. They're trying to run, Reed observed. All ships, disable their engines. Don't let them escape to warn the main fleet. The human ships executed another series of high-G maneuvers that would have killed Vex crews instantly. They fired on the fleeing Vex vessels with deadly accuracy, targeting engines and weapon systems. Sir, Miller reported with pride in her voice. Enemy ships disabled or destroyed, 14. 8 more heavily damaged and unable to flee. Reed nodded. The first phase of their battle plan had worked better than expected, but this was just the beginning. Open a channel to all Vex ships, he ordered. When the connection was established, Reed spoke clearly. This is Commander Reed of the UES Defiance. Your attack force has been defeated. Surrender now, and we will spare your lives. After a moment of silence, Drath's voice came through, shaking with rage. This is not over, human. The main Vex fleet will destroy you all. Reed's expression hardened. Then we'll be ready for them too. He turned to his bridge crew. Prepare for Phase 3. The real battle is about to begin. Damage report, Commander Reed ordered as the bridge system stabilized. Lieutenant Miller checked her console. Shields at 27%, hull integrity at 82%. 3 injured crew members, but no casualties. Reed nodded. The Defiance had taken heavy damage, but she was still fighting. He looked at the tactical display. The first wave of Vex ships had been defeated or disabled, but the main fleet still surrounded the Lumari planet. Sir, Walker called out. I'm detecting movement from the Vex main fleet. 20 ships are breaking orbit and heading our way. Reed opened a channel to his captains. All ships, report status. The responses came in quickly. 3 human ships had suffered significant damage. The UES Thunder was the worst, with failing life support and engine problems. But remarkably, not a single Earth vessel had been destroyed. We've won the first round, Reed told his captains. But the real fight is just beginning. Thunder, Storm, and Guardian, pull back and make emergency repairs. The rest of us will engage the incoming Vex ships. He closed the channel and turned to his communications officer. Taylor, can you reach the Lumari? Taylor worked at her station. Yes, sir. I have Elder Toril standing by. The blue-skinned alien appeared on screen. His large eyes widened as he saw the damage on the Defiance's bridge. Commander Reed, you're alive. We've been watching the battle from our shelters. We never thought anyone could stand against the Vex, but your ships, the way they move. We're not done yet, Elder, Reed said. But I need your help. Do you have any ships at all? Even small ones? Toril nodded. We have transport vessels, science ships, nothing with weapons. That's fine. We need them for evacuation, not fighting. Can your people reach them? The ships are in underground hangars. We can access them without exposing ourselves. Reed leaned forward. Good. I'm sending a small team to your surface to coordinate. We need to get as many of your people to safety as possible. But where would we go? Toril asked. The Vex control the whole system. Not for long, Reed promised. Trust me. After ending the call, Reed turned to Major Lisa Clark, who led the ship's ground team. Major, I need you on the Lumari surface. Take a shuttle and help organize their evacuation. Clark nodded. Yes, sir. What about the Vex ground forces? They haven't landed troops yet. They wanted to break the Lumari from orbit first. Reed's face hardened. That was their mistake. As Clark and her team prepared to depart, Reed returned to the tactical display. The 20 Vex ships were closing fast. All combat-ready ships form up, Reed ordered. Prepare for Nemean Lion Phase 3. The human vessels moved into a new formation, a loose sphere with gaps between each ship. To the approaching Vex, it looked like the humans were spreading out to run away. On his damaged command ship, Drath watched the human formation with suspicion. They're spreading out, preparing to flee? His new second-in-command, who had replaced the one killed in the first battle, shook his head. I don't think so, Supreme Commander. These humans have shown no sign of retreat so far. Then what are they doing? Drath hissed. Unknown, sir, but I recommend caution. These Deathworlders have already destroyed 14 of our ships. Drath's scales darkened. They caught us by surprise before. Not again. Order all ships to advance slowly. Full shields. No fighters this time. They're too vulnerable. The Vex fleet moved forward cautiously, weapons ready but not firing yet. In the shuttle bay of the Defiance, Major Clark and her team of 6 prepared to launch. All of them wore combat armor designed for Earth's special forces, reinforced to withstand impacts that would kill most alien species. Remember, Clark told her team, the Lumari evolved on a world with 0.8 Earth gravity. When we land, we'll be stronger and faster than normal. Be careful not to hurt them by accident. The team nodded. As Deathworlders, humans had to be careful around most alien species. Their natural strength, developed on high-gravity Earth, could easily injure those from gentler worlds. The shuttle launched, slipping away from the Defiance while the Vex were focused on the main fleet. Back on the bridge, Reed watched the shuttle safely exit the battle zone. Now for the hard part, he muttered. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships execute Phase 3 on my mark. The 20 Vex ships continued their cautious approach. They were now inside the loose sphere formation of the human fleet. Now, Reed ordered. What happened next stunned the Vex commanders. The human ships all fired their engines at maximum power, but instead of moving forward, they accelerated toward each other. It looked like a suicidal move, as if they were all about to crash in the center. Drath watched in confusion. What are they doing? At the last possible moment, each human ship made an impossibly tight turn, missing each other by meters. The maneuver created a swirling vortex of ships, all moving at extreme speeds in an intricate spiraling pattern. The Vex targeting systems couldn't lock onto the constantly moving targets, and as the human ships spun through the formation, they fired continuously, Hitting Vex vessels from all angles. Return fire! Drath screamed, but his gunners couldn't get a clean shot. The human ships were moving too fast, their pattern too unpredictable. 3 Vex ships exploded in quick succession as human weapons found their weak points. 2 more lost engines and drifted helplessly. This is impossible, Drath snarled. No, crews can withstand such maneuvers. But the humans could. Their bodies evolved to survive on Earth endured G-forces that would have killed Vex crews instantly. On the Lumari surface, Clark's shuttle landed near the entrance to an underground shelter. When the team stepped out, they found a group of Lumari waiting for them. "You're humans?" asked one Lumari, staring up at Clark's tall figure. Clark nodded. "We're here to help with evacuation." The Lumari looked at each other in wonder. They had heard stories about Deathworlders, but seeing them in person was different. The humans moved with a fluid strength, their bodies clearly dense with muscle evolved for Earth's higher gravity. "This way," the Lumari guide said, leading them into the tunnels. Elder Toril is waiting. Inside the vast underground chamber, thousands of Lumari had gathered. Their blue skin and large eyes made them look almost childlike to the humans. When Clark and her team entered, a hush fell over the crowd. Elder Toril approached. "Major Clark, Commander Reed told me to expect you." Clark nodded. "We need to get your people to your ships. How many can you evacuate?" "We have transport ships, for about half our population," Toril said sadly. "The rest will also escape," Clark promised. "Commander Reed has a plan." In space, that plan was working. The human ships continued their complex spiral attack pattern, destroying or disabling Vex vessels while taking minimal damage themselves. "Sir," Miller reported on the Defiance, "Vex fleet is down to 12 operational ships. They're trying to regroup." Reed nodded. "Press the advantage, don't give them time to recover." The human fleet tightened their spiral, focusing fire on the remaining Vex ships. 2 more exploded under the concentrated attack. On his bridge, Drath realized he was losing. "Order all ships to fall back to the planet. We'll use the Lumari world as a shield." His remaining ships turned and fled toward the Lumari planet, where the rest of the Vex fleet waited in orbit. Reed watched them retreat with grim satisfaction. "They're running. Phase 3 complete." He opened a channel to Clark. "Major, status of the evacuation?" "In progress, sir," came the reply. "But we can only take about half the population in their ships." "That's enough," Reed said. "Get them launched as soon as possible. We'll clear a path." He turned to his bridge crew. "The Vex think they're retreating to safety. They don't realize they're heading exactly where we want them." Walker looked up from his console. "Sir, you don't mean—" Reed nodded. "Yes, Lieutenant, it's time for Phase 4, the final phase." Commander Reed stood calmly on the bridge of the Defiance as his crew prepared for the final phase of the battle. The remaining Vex ships from the second wave had retreated to join the main fleet orbiting the Lumari homeworld. In total, about 30 Vex vessels still remained operational. "All ships status report," Reed ordered. The reports came in quickly. The human fleet had taken damage, but 12 of the 15 ships were still combat ready. The UES Thunder, Storm, and Guardian were making emergency repairs. "Sir," Miller said, "the Vex are forming a defensive line around the planet. They're positioning to block any approach." Reed nodded. "Just as expected. Open a channel to Major Clark." Clark's face appeared on screen. Behind her, thousands of Lumari moved in orderly lines toward their transport ships. "Evacuation status?" Reed asked. "First ships are ready to launch. In 10 minutes, Clark replied. "We can get about half the population out on their transport vessels." "And the rest?" Clark smiled. "As you ordered, sir. They're being moved to the underground bunkers on the far side of the planet, the deepest, strongest shelters they have." "Good." Reed checked the tactical display. "As soon as the first transports are ready, give us the signal. We'll clear a path for them." After ending the call, Reed addressed his fleet captains. "The Vex think they're safe now. They believe we can't attack their main force directly. They're wrong." He pulled up a detailed scan of the Lumari planet. "The Vex fleet is positioned between us and the night side of the planet. That's where The Lumari are sheltering. That's also where we'll execute the final phase. Captain Williams of the Guardian, whose ship was now back in action, looked concerned. The plan is still to use the planet's gravity well? Yes, Reed confirmed. Earth ships are built to withstand atmospheric entry and exit. Vex ships aren't. They never expected to fight in a gravity well. He pointed to specific locations on the display. We'll hit them from multiple vectors, use the planet's gravity to accelerate beyond their targeting capabilities, and strike from where they least expect it. The captains nodded grimly. It was a dangerous plan, but they had all trained for high-gravity maneuvers. As Deathworlders, they could handle stresses that would kill most alien crews. One more thing, Reed added. During this attack, the Lumari transports will launch from the surface. Our priority is to clear a safe path for them to escape the system. 20 minutes later, Reed received the signal from Clark. The first Lumari transport ships were launching. All ships, Reed ordered, execute Phase 4. Maximum burn on my mark. The human fleet moved into position. To the watching Vex, it looked like the Earth ships were preparing for a conventional attack. They're coming, Drath said on his command ship. Prepare all weapons. His new tactical officer looked nervous. Supreme Commander, they've destroyed over half our forces with just 15 ships. Perhaps we should consider retreat. Drath's scales darkened with rage. Retreat? Never. We have 30 ships left. They cannot defeat us all. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Reed counted down. The human fleet suddenly split into 3 groups. Instead of attacking the Vex directly, they accelerated toward different parts of the Lumari planet. Drath watched in confusion. What are they doing? Follow them. The Vex fleet began to give chase, but they were too slow. The human ships reached the upper atmosphere of the Lumari world and did something no Vex commander would ever consider. They dipped into the atmosphere, using the planet's gravity to slingshot themselves at incredible speeds. The maneuver subjected the human crews to crushing G-forces that would have killed any Vex instantly. But the humans, evolved on high-gravity Earth, endured. The Earth ships shot out of the atmosphere like bullets, approaching the Vex fleet from below and behind at speeds the Vex targeting systems couldn't track. Behind us, screamed Drath's tactical officer. They're coming from beneath. Before the Vex could react, the human vessels opened fire. Their weapons, aimed with deadly precision, struck the weak points of the Vex ships. 5 Vex vessels exploded in the first volley. The remaining Vex ships tried to turn and fight, but the humans were already gone, diving back into the atmosphere for another slingshot maneuver. This is impossible, Drath snarled. No ship can maneuver in a gravity well like that. But the human ships could. Built to withstand Earth's gravity and atmospheric conditions, they used the Lumari planet like a natural accelerator, gaining speeds the Vex couldn't match. Again and again, the Earth fleet repeated the maneuver, striking from unexpected angles, then disappearing back into the planet's atmosphere before the Vex could respond. Meanwhile, the first Lumari transport ships rose from the surface. They carried thousands of refugees, headed for the edge of the system where they could jump to safety. Some Vex ships tried to target the transports, but the human fleet intercepted them. The UES Thunder, despite its damage, positioned itself between a Vex cruiser and a group of Lumari ships, taking hits meant for the refugees. Thunder is hit bad, Walker reported on the Defiance. They've lost engines. Reed watched as the Thunder drifted, still firing its weapons to protect the Lumari ships. Order them to evacuate if necessary, but Captain Jones's voice came through clearly. Negative, Commander. We still have weapons. We'll cover the transports until the end. On the Lumari surface, Major Clark watched the battle through a portable, tactical display. Elder Toril stood beside her, his large eyes wide with amazement. Your ships move like nothing I've ever seen, Toril said. The way they use our planet's gravity. On Earth, we train for high G maneuvers, Clark explained. What's deadly to the Vex is just difficult for us. A cheer went up from the Lumari as they watched another Vex ship explode on the display. In space, the battle had turned into a rout. The human ships continued their gravity-assisted attacks, and the Vex fleet was falling apart. Their rigid tactics couldn't adapt to the humans' unconventional approach. After 20 minutes of continuous assault, only Drath's command ship and 7 other Vex vessels remained operational. The rest had been destroyed or disabled. "Supreme Commander," pleaded his tactical officer, "we must retreat. We've lost 2/3 of our fleet." Drath finally accepted the truth. These Deathworlders were unlike anything the Vex had ever faced. "Order all remaining ships to retreat," he said bitterly. "Maximum speed." But as the Vex ships turned to flee, they found the human fleet waiting for them. The Earth vessels had positioned themselves to block all escape routes. Reed opened a channel to Drath's ship. "This is Commander Reed of the UES Defiance. Your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now." On his bridge, Drath looked at the tactical display in disbelief. Somehow 15 human ships had destroyed or disabled most of his 50-vessel fleet. It seemed impossible. "Deathworlders," he whispered. "Your answer, Commander Drath?" Reed pressed. After a long moment, Drath gave the order. "Power down weapons, we surrender." As the remaining Vex ships shut down their weapons, Reed turned to his crew. "Status of the Lumari evacuation?" "All transport ships have cleared the planet," Miller reported. "They're heading for the jump point now." Reed nodded with satisfaction. "And the rest of the Lumari population?" "Safe in the deep bunkers on the far side of the planet, as planned," Walker confirmed. The Vex bombardment never reached them. One by one, the human ships reported in. They had suffered damage and the Thunder was badly crippled, but incredibly, not a single Earth vessel had been destroyed. The human crews, tough and resilient as only Deathworlders could be, had survived what should have been impossible odds. 3 days later, Reed stood in the Lumari capital city as the refugees began returning home. Elder Toril approached him, holding a small crystal sculpture. "This is for you," Toril said, presenting it to Reed. "A symbol of our eternal gratitude." Reed accepted the gift. "We just did what was right." "No," Toril shook his head. "You did what no one else in the galaxy would do. You faced a superior force without hesitation. The Galactic Council told us that Deathworlders were dangerous and unpredictable. They never said you would also be our saviors." News of the battle spread quickly across the galaxy. The story of how 15 human ships had defeated a Vex fleet of 50 vessels sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers now looked at Earth with new respect and caution. On the bridge of the Defiance, as the fleet prepared to return home, Reed looked out at the stars. "The Vex thought numbers would win the day," he said quietly to his crew. "They forgot that quality matters more than quantity, and humans are quality forged in fire." Miller smiled. "Do you think anyone else will try to attack our allies now? That they know what we can do?" Reed shook his head. "I doubt it. The galaxy just learned an important lesson. Never underestimate Deathworlders and never ever make humans angry." The Earth fleet turned and headed for home, leaving behind a legacy that would change galactic politics forever. The message was clear. Humans might be newcomers to the stars, but they were a force to be reckoned with, especially when they were fighting to protect others.